Like Alhaji Jerima had pointed out earlier, cotton was a major employer of labor and a major contributor to our GDP. Before we miscalculated, I can call it miscalculation, prior to the introduction of the structural adjustment program, cotton, I will use northern Nigeria as an example. We had 1.2 million cotton farmers in northern Nigeria. We had 700,000 Nigerians employed directly and indirectly in the textile and garment industry.
700,000?
Yes. And we are feeding the Nigerian markets and the sub-regional markets. Benin, Cotonou, the rest of them were coming to Nigeria. I used to hear from Aba, people come from Gabon, from Equatorial Guinea, from different countries in Central Africa to purchase garments, but also from Kano. That's why you have the major garment markets in Kano, Kwantinkwara, and the rest of them. That was why they were established. They weren't established today. They were established to serve the Nigerian market and also the sub-regional market. And if you look at the dependency ratio of one Nigerian, one worker supporting 8 to family members and relatives. So if you now equate it 1.2 million farmers, 700,000, 1.9 million times 8, it gives you 15.2 million plus that 1.9 million is 17.1 million Nigerians that lost the primary source of livelihood to another thing. So it took them time to pivot. So what that led to is a gradual collapse of the textile and garment industry in Nigeria. And also, why the textile and garment collapsed, also the raw material did not keep up with pace. Like he had pointed out earlier, the varieties we have in Nigeria have Sankot 8, Sankot 9, Sankot 10, 11, 12, and 13. Sankot 8 and 9 were developed in 1977. And Sankot 8, 1977, Sankot 9 and 10 was in 1983. Okay. And then 11, 12, 13 was 2003. So that's the last was 21 years ago. We weren't doing much better. And because he talked about changes, the climate, the adaptability threshold when these varieties were developed changed. So the cotton responds to the climatic variables. So the climatic, the rainfall pattern, the temperature regime, the soil parameters that these varieties were adapted to had all changed. Even the fertility status, the organic matter content of the Nigerian soils, especially in northern Nigeria, will have very high temperature regime, and also precipitation during the rainy season has completely halved within this half a century period. So that has led to the collapse of the cotton as a raw material, and also the policy framework smuggling has also led to the collapse of the textile and garment industry. And over this year, we spent, if you cumulatively, we spend more than $30 billion importing these materials into the country. This is the amount of money that would have remained in the country to help to further enhance FS liquidity we are talking about today in the country. So that's why we got to where we are. One, the lack of output, the lack of policy framework to drive it, just like you've never heard of such an elaborate occasion. But because Mr. President is very keen on revitalizing the economy, diversifying the revenue base, diversifying the FS base of the nation, that was why cotton, cocoa, cashew, sesame, all the primary export commodity products, he had given a clear mandate that he wants them reactivated, rejuvenated, recatalyzed for growth, for impact.
You talked about smuggling. Can you, explain that, for us within the context of our conversation?
Well, smuggling also helps to cripple the local industry, because we are competing. I will give you an instance. We are competing with China. Last year, Chinese export of garment and textile materials to the world was $320 billion. So there is no way we can compete. They are giving extensive subsidies to things we cannot afford. And they want to, even in the interim, even without making profits, the government wants to make sure that they maintain a dominant position with the market. So
that's the Chinese government.
I'm using any other government, every other government. So Nigeria is a major market. We have a very large population, 200 and something million people. So why would you, if I'm an exporting country and my interest is in Nigeria, why would I not do everything in the short term to make sure I cripple the Nigerian sector so that we will not have the holistic control? And that has happened. Because while in the 80s, 90s, gradually, one by one, our cotton, garment, textile and garment industry were decimated. they continue to enhance their positions.
So what is government doing to protect the local industry from being crippled?
That is why government is because of lack of effective textile, cotton, GTC policy, that's cotton, textile and garment policy. So also the irregular, complex regulations within the country, and the lack of access to the international markets, and also international certifications. All these things comprehensively can be tackled within one thing, the textile policy that has to be updated. Prior to then, we had the textile policy, but the world is very dynamic in global trade. So what the policies we had in the 70s, 60s, 80s cannot work today. There has been a complete shift in geopolitics, in international trade, in economic livelihood. So we have to have a new policy that will reflect that, and that is what this government is doing. The president is a man of bold ideas, a man of bold visions. He wants to take it holistically to readdress it, having a very comprehensive cotton, textile and garment policy that will address all the challenges at its root causes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very